Following the flood, survivors gathered in Shinar with a breakthrough, manufacturing baked bricks with tar. This allowed them to construct a sprawling city and a tower reaching the heavens, aiming to consolidate absolute control in one place. This centralization posed a serious threat. By pooling all human effort and refusing to spread out, they were constructing a system where their combined arrogance would face zero physical boundaries. Every destructive impulse could be executed on a mass scale. The Tower of Babel stands as early humanity's attempt to engineer a closed-loop utopia. It was an imperial project built entirely on refusing to populate the rest of the Earth. To halt this trajectory, the response was immediate. The single, unifying language binding the builders together was scrambled. Overnight, neighbors and foremen could no longer understand a word each other spoke. The social infrastructure collapsed. The brick-making stopped, the city was abandoned, and the tight-knit society dispersed. This forced migration is what populated the regions detailed in the Genesis 10 Table of Nations. The human race splintered into 70 distinct lineages, establishing separate linguistic territories and independent borders. The first grand vision of an earthly empire collapsed into geopolitical noise. With the world fragmented, the question became how any lasting legacy could emerge from the ruins of human ambition. The answer begins far away from those ruined towers, with an aging nomad in Ur. Abram is 75, deeply rooted in an advanced civilization. The instruction he receives defies conventional logic. He is told to abandon his established nation, leave the security of his extended family, and walk away from his inheritance toward an entirely unknown land. But attached to this order is a promise: I will make your name great. The builders at Babel tried to seize a name for themselves through engineering and dominance. Abram is asked to wait for a legacy to be handed down from above. By packing his tents and heading toward Canaan, Abram accepts the life of an exile. He completely rejects the human compulsion to build an empire, opting instead to trust a promise he cannot yet see. Fast forward a few years, and the practical challenges of this nomadic life surface. Abram and his nephew Lot have returned from a stint in Egypt with an enormous accumulation of silver, gold, and livestock. Their combined wealth creates a literal spatial problem. The pastures of Canaan cannot physically sustain both of their massive herds at once. Tension boils over, and violent disputes break out between Abram's herders and Lot's camp. As the patriarch and military senior, Abram has every right to claim the prime grazing land. Instead, he diffuses the conflict by ceding the choice entirely to Lot. He tells his nephew to pick any direction, and Abram will take whatever is left. Lot surveys the landscape and locks his eyes on the Jordan Valley. It is well-watered, lush, and highly profitable. He moves his tents eastward, settling dangerously close to the notoriously wealthy and corrupt city of Sodom. Left with the remainder, Abram accepts the rugged, rocky hill country of Hebron. He sacrifices his immediate economic comfort for peace within his family. Placed in a high-stakes conflict over resources, Lot gravitated toward the comforts and infrastructure of civilization. Abram chose to walk further into the margins. That pursuit of civilization quickly pulls Lot into a regional bloodbath. An alliance of 4 Eastern superpowers marches west to crush a 13-year rebellion staged by 5 local kings. The armies clash in the Valley of Sodom. The local resistance, including the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah, is thoroughly decimated. Fleeing soldiers are routed and fall into the valley's deep tar pits. The victorious empires systematically sack the cities of the plains. They strip Sodom of all its food and wealth, taking Lot and all his possessions as prisoners of war. Lot's decision to embed himself in an earthly empire costs him everything. The brutal reality of ancient conquest has arrived at Abram's doorstep, forcing the peaceful exile to act. The moment Abram hears his nephew has been captured, he strips away his passive demeanor. He immediately arms 318 trained men born right in his own encampment. He tracks the massive Imperial coalition north to Dan. Vastly outnumbered, Abram splits his forces in the dark and launches a devastating, highly coordinated night raid against the superpowers' camp. The strike is a total success. Abram's militia routs the Eastern kings, chasing them all the way past Damascus. He recovers Lot, the hostages, and every single piece of stolen wealth. Abram's life as a wandering exile shielded him from the corruption of the valley, but it hadn't made him soft. When provoked, he proved capable of dismantling the most fearsome military alliance in the region. Returning in triumph, Abram arrives in the Valley of the Kings. He is met by the surviving king of Sodom, who offers him a massive reward. Keep all the recovered goods, just return the people. Abram flatly refuses. He raises his hand and swears an oath to the Most High God, declaring that he will not accept a single thread or even a sandal strap from Sodom. He makes his reasoning absolutely clear. If Abram takes the wealth, the king of Sodom will forever claim that he is the one who made Abram rich. The patriarch refuses to owe his legacy to a human ruler. The architects of Babel and the warlords of the East poured their lives into seizing power by force, yet their empires fractured and dissolved. It was the wandering nomad, the man who repeatedly walked away from power, who secured an inheritance that outlasted them all.